Francisco. And today we have got Nicola Taggart, who is a coach and author. And she's going to be sharing her tips on how to calm the chaos and win with well-being, which is so needed right now, given what crazy world we're living in. So Nicola, all you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. And for those of you who are able to join live or later if you watch it. As she said, I'm Nicola Taggart, and as a life and leadership success strategist and coach for the past 15 years, I've been helping people learn how to calm the chaos, redefine success, and live what truly matters to them. And well-being has been really at the heart of my work all of these years as a strategy for achieving what I consider kind of total life success. And yet I really didn't understand the true importance of using well-being as a survival strategy to get through times of crisis, those really challenging and uncertain times, until this last year when I found myself trying to navigate a major health issue for my husband. In one day, our life was turned upside down. And what got me through, what keeps getting me through, is leaning into the principles that I've been helping my clients use for years and that I share in my Calm the Chaos journal and my Calm the Chaos deck. Little did I know that it would be preparing me to better help people navigate this collective crisis that we are currently going through over the last 8 months. The impact for each person is different based on individual situations, and yet what is the same is this collective crisis is it's having an impact on everyone's health and well-being. So today I want to share with you some ways that you can calm the chaos and use well-being as your superpower, anytime, but especially right now. And so just some things to help you get the most out of our time together. The first one is I want to encourage you to really just set the intention to be fully present and find value in what I have to share today. Pay attention to what resonates for you. Not all of it will, but I challenge you to find a nugget or two that you can take away. Try to eliminate as many distractions as you can for the next hour. Close out other tabs, turn off your phone, tell family members or colleagues or whoever's around you to leave you alone for a little bit. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. We'll be monitoring those. If we don't get to them at the end, I'm happy to respond in email. You can always email me at nicola@nicolataggart.com. And for those of you who want this information in writing, but maybe don't want to write it all down, you can also go to my website, which is nicolataggart.com, and I'll have that at the end, where you can download my Winning with Wellbeing guide and workbook. So let's jump into what's really important today. And I want you to consider this, that how we feel has a profound impact on the way that we show up for ourselves and others. Just think about that for a minute, really. Like, how we feel has this profound impact on the way that we show up. And so being clear and aware about how we are feeling and using that information to help direct and guide the choices that we make, the conversations that we have, is really at the foundation for calming the chaos. The better we are at this, the greater our resilience. So as we go through this, a lot of what I'm going to be sharing stems around impacting and influencing the way that you feel. And so the way that you're going to navigate and use well-being as your superpower is by asking yourself on a regular basis, how am I feeling? And if this isn't a way I want to feel, how do I want to feel instead? And what can I do to support the way that I want to feel? And I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can start asking yourself that question and then shifting your energy to help you feel better. And I'm going to start by asking you to do this exercise. So if you have paper in front of you, you can do this on a piece of paper. You can also just close your eyes and do this as a visualization. I want you to take a piece of paper and draw a line horizontally all the way across the piece of paper, as you can see up here on the screen. You're going to draw the line and put a dot on each end. And I want you to imagine that the left dot is your birth and the right dot is your death. And let's imagine that dot to the right is really, really far out there, but we don't have paper that long. So I want you to just take a moment and think about, and maybe even draw on this timeline, where you would place this COVID crisis time. Where would this land on your timeline? And then I want you to consider and just jot down above that line, how do you want to feel during the remainder of this time as we go through the pandemic? And there's still a lot of uncertainty, as a collective uncertainty, and then each of us personally, there's a lot of uncertainty. So how do you want to feel? And then the other question I want you to jot down some thoughts are, how do you want to show up? You know, how do you want to be for the other people in your life, family members, friends, colleagues, clients? I just want you to jot down some thoughts there. And then what I'm going to have you consider, and you may not have the answer to this now, but hopefully you'll be able to add to this as we go through today, is what can you stop, start, and or keep doing to impact the way that you want to feel and the way that you want to show up. So just keep that in front of you, make some more notes on it as we go along about what are some things that I suggest, some ideas I have for you that you think you could stop, start, or keep doing to impact the way that you want to feel and show up. So how do we calm the chaos and win with well-being? You know, how do we navigate these times so that we can feel as positive, present, peaceful, productive as we want to? It's challenging during normal times, and during times of crisis, it's even harder because our brain is going so rapidly and there's so much that is distracting and draining and can make us feel really down. So there's really 4 key areas that we're going to focus on in terms of managing so that you can show up and feel the way that you want to feel or feel better and show up for people in the way that you want to show up. So the 4 areas are managing your mindset, your energy, your environment, and your relationships. They're all interconnected. And I want you to think about how you manage each of these throughout your day, throughout your life. There is so much right now that is still out of our control, right? We don't know when things are all opening back up. People don't know when they're going back to their offices. People who have lost jobs don't know when they're going to get a new job. We don't know when kids are going back to school. There's so much that's still out of our control. But what is in our control are the thoughts that we think, the words that we say, the actions that we take, and the conversations that we have. So today I'm going to give you some real tangible ways that you can manage in these 4 areas. And each topic could be its own deep dive in an hour. So it's going to be a lot, but like I said, I've just say pick some things that resonate for you and that you can start to incorporate into your own life. So we're going to start with managing your mindset. This is what's going on between your ears. And I will say it is often the most challenging thing for us to manage. And it also is the thing that has the biggest impact on how well we can manage the other 3 areas. Paying attention to the thoughts that we have, what we're saying to ourselves, the beliefs that we hold along the way has just a profound impact on our ability to navigate the ups and downs of life. Having a growth mindset right now is key. It's one of the key pieces of having resilience, is our ability to learn from challenging situations, to grow from challenging situations, and to find ways to stay positive. And that doesn't mean, sticking your head in the sand, but finding ways to point your perspective towards the positive, no matter what is going on around the things that you do have control over. So let's talk about some ways that you can manage your mindset. The first one is to define success based on your current situation. One of the fastest ways for somebody to feel dissatisfied and unsuccessful is to be basing their definition of success on a stage of life they're no longer in, somebody else's idea of success, or a stage that is no longer valid for you. So really thinking about, what does success mean for you right now? And I'm encouraging people that I'm talking to and clients to think about this just from the next 3 months. Okay. Don't think really long term, but it's like, what would success look like for you over the next 3 months? Another way is to set your intention for how you want to be. So there's a lot that's outside of our control, but we can set an intention for how we want to be, how we want to show up, how we want to feel, and really paying attention to that and making that a clear focus each and every day. Another way to manage your mindset is to focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't, right? So much out of our control. However, when we are feeling stressed, typically we try to control more. But trying to control more, especially of things that we cannot control, will just take us further and further down a path we don't want to go. So really looking at, what are the things I'm trying to control, and are there any on that list that are really out of my control that it's time for me to let go of? Another way to manage your mindset is to create a positive power word or phrase. So this literally got me through the last year and a half of a lot of days going through tough days with stuff with my husband, is that when I would find myself going downwards, a downward spiral, the worrying about the what ifs, the feeling overwhelmed, is that I had 2 things that I would say to myself that would bring me back to the present and keep me going. One was, one day at a time, especially when I would start to think forward too much. So I would just remind myself, you're just taking it one day at a time. And the other word that I had was trust. If I'm doing the things I can do that are in my control, I'm going to trust that the stuff that's not out of my control will work out in the best way possible. Another way is to start and end your day with gratitude. So the science shows us, research shows us, that having an attitude of gratitude is extremely powerful and is one of the top health and happiness habits. So I encourage you to, before your feet hit the ground in the morning, before you go to bed at night, is that you really force yourself, think about at least 5 things that you can be grateful for in the moment. So the question for you to consider is, what mindset do you need to have to create the experience that you want? What beliefs do you need to hold? What things do you need to be thinking about? How can you point your perspective towards the positive to have the kind of experience you want to have over the next few months? So the next area is managing your energy. And there's really 4 key areas of energy, 4 dimensions of energy. That's, the energy is what fuels us. It's what keeps us going. And it's, people typically think of it as just physical energy, but it's not. There's really 4. It's physical energy, mental energy, emotional energy, and spiritual energy. And we're going to be talking about all of those. They're all connected. All of those energies are connected, but we're going to start with some that do connect all of them together. And the first one is using your breath. There's so much power in just remembering to breathe, whether you're doing it intentionally through meditation, or even for me, I have an app on my phone that reminds me once an hour to take a few breaths. But doing that at any point in your day can really help you, give you an energy boost in all 4 dimensions of energy. Pause before you power through. So right now, I know people are, kind of just pushing through, doing what they can to keep going. There's so much power that comes from taking a pause, whether that's taking a breath, whether that's taking a pause before you respond or you react to something. I just had to do that actually with my son, who was, getting on my nerves, and I was feeling really impatient, and I just had to pause before I responded to him so that I could respond to him in a more clear way. So really thinking about how you can pause throughout your day in small ways, and then also pausing in some maybe more intentional ways with meditation, with prayer, with adding more white space to your schedule so that you can catch your breath between meetings. Another way to manage your overall energy is embrace self-care as a necessity, not just a nicety. So self-care is so key right now. It is what is going to keep you afloat. And looking at that as a strategy, as a necessity, is going to be so important. And that includes making time for rest and renewal, and actually looking at rest and renewal as a success strategy, putting that into your day, knowing when your energy dips and thinking about when taking a break may help you regain some energy so that you can keep going. Thinking about how you're resting and making time for renewal on the weekends. Really thinking about this intentionally as a success strategy, that it's not about being lazy. We can always find more things to do. We can always be productive, but taking a break can have a huge impact on our energy in a positive way. This is one of my favorites, and I really want to encourage you to do, which is creating an energy help and hinder list. So you want to do this for two reasons. The first reason is that if you have a list, and this is taking a piece of paper, putting a line down the middle, on one side, writing down anything that you do that you know helps your energy go up, and then on the other side, anything that you do that you know makes your energy go down. Having this in front of you and really paying attention to when you are doing things on the list that hinder you and making an intentional choice to pick something from the list that helps you. Asking yourself throughout the day, how am I feeling? And if you're feeling like your energy is dipped in any way, looking at that help list and picking something from the help list to do that can keep you going, give you a little bit of an energy boost. The other way to use this is to look at your help list, your energy helper list, and think about how to incorporate some of those things that you know that when you do every day, help you keep going, and actually schedule those into your calendar. I strongly encourage having a before the day routine and an end of the day routine, and incorporate in some of these energy boosts that you know help you feel better. So we're going to look at some of the individual dimensions of energy with some ideas. So this is around physical energy. And physical energy, again, most people think of energy as a physical energy. This is the foundation, because if you're not paying attention to your physical energy, it can be much harder to do some of the things that you may want to do in the other dimensions. So it's really kind of the foundation for the other energies. When we manage our physical energy, it makes it easier to do the other things. And the first one is getting enough quality sleep. Now, I know I'm hearing from people now on both sides of this. Some people are sleeping a lot more because of the way that they're feeling and the need for greater sleep, or they're feeling down and depressed. Some people are sleeping more because they're realizing how much that is helping them survive these times. And then I'm also hearing from a lot of people that are not sleeping as much as they need to at all. And that's either because they're having insomnia from the stress, or because they are just making choices that keep them up too late. So I really want you to think about, what is your sleep routine, and are you setting yourself up for success in getting good quality sleep that you need? Another way to increase your physical energy is to mindfully consume what nourishes you. So this is food, this is drinks, this is social media, this is news. Really paying attention to, is the thing that I'm taking in, is the thing that I'm consuming helping me feel better or making me feel worse? And being really intentional about consuming what nourishes you. Another way is to move your body to increase stamina and strength. I'm not even saying exercise, because I think that just, it's not even about having the goal of exercising. It's really thinking about the fact that when you move your body, especially in a way that increases your stamina or increases your strength, it gives you an energy boost. And so really thinking about incorporating that in as part of your positivity prescription to help you manage these times. Take daytime rest and renewal breaks. So I talked about that, the importance of that, but actually being strategic during your workday. I know a lot of people are also saying that they feel like they're working a lot more hours than they were before. The line between work and life is so blurred if you're working from home, which many people are these days. And so there are not those transition points or those automatic breaks that were maybe happening, and people are just going from Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting, or eating at their desk because what else do they have to do? They don't have social plans, or working longer because they don't have kid activities to get to, or they don't have the gym to go to. So really thinking about how can you start to integrate those daytime breaks to help you get those energy boosts. And then back to connecting with your breath. That is just such a help from a physical standpoint. If you feel your stress going up, if you feel your anxiety going up, if you feel you're getting frustrated, just closing your eyes, or let's say you're in a meeting and you can't close your eyes, just even putting your hands in your lap and taking some intentional deep breaths can change the state of how you feel physically. So now let's talk about increasing your mental energy. And these are the focus. This is about what fuels your focus. And again, I'm hearing from so many people that being focused right now is feeling more challenging than ever before. And there's a reason for that. I mean, psychologically, we are in a time of crisis. There's so much uncertainty. We're having to make lots of different decisions all the time. We're kind of on heightened alert, heightened alert in terms of keeping ourselves and our family members safe and healthy. And so all of that mental energy is draining. And then when we have to focus on something that we really need to get done, it can feel way, way harder than it feels like it should be. So first of all, have compassion for yourself, that is the case for everybody that I'm talking to. And then also just here's some ways that you can try to start to manage that energy. And the first one is, this is about priorities. It's really clarifying what is most important for you and for others. So trying to do everything, trying to do it all, things that are not important right now or necessary, is going to make it all harder. So I really encourage you to get down to what is essential each day that has to get done. And this includes clarifying with the people around you, with your family members, with your colleagues, like what is essential for them so you guys are on the same page, and what can you kind of collectively let go of that maybe is not so important right now. Another way to boost your mental energy is by proactively prioritizing and instead of reactively responding. So again, this whole idea, thinking about, what is most essential, and then either ending your day or starting your day by being really intentional of scheduling those things into your calendar, your to-do list for the next day, being proactive instead of getting up first thing in the morning, jumping on your computer and immediately going into reactive mode. Another way is to diminish distractions. Easier said than done, especially these days with so many people working from home or working in spaces with other people around. But I really encourage you to think about strategically, how can you start to acknowledge and then diminish, sort of strategize how to diminish some distractions. One way too is just, how do you diminish the distractions that are going on in your brain? And a technique I like to use with clients often, a lot of times before I do sessions with them, is what I call a distraction dump. It's literally taking a piece of paper, sometimes it's just a sticky note, and writing down everything that is on your mind that is distracting you and getting that down. So you can do that before you go to bed. You could do that before you're going to go into a big meeting. You could do that before you need to sit down and work on a big project. But anytime you feel like there's so much going on up here that you can't really focus, get all those things down on paper. You can always go back to them later. So another tangible technique is to set a timer. There's a Pomodoro method. I don't know if you've heard about that, but there's a number of apps you can get on your phone. But the idea with that is that you set a timer for any duration, anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes, and you focus on one thing at a time for that period of time. And you really do what you can to block out distractions from anything else during that time. And then after your designated time, whether that's 20 minutes, which feels really short, but that can work well for kids, 45 minutes, is that you then stop, you take a short 10 to 15 minute break, and then you either move on to the next task or you re-engage with that task if you're not done yet. Doing those things will help you get through something way faster than trying to multitask through multiple things at one time. So now let's talk about increasing emotional energy. And this is really about what fuels our happiness. The first one is exploring, acknowledging, and sharing how you feel. There's this idea around naming it to taming it. That when we actually can identify and say how we're feeling, whether that's just to ourselves or to somebody else, that it can actually diminish and decrease that particular feeling. So when we're feeling overwhelmed or we're feeling stressed or we're feeling things that maybe don't feel so good, our tendency may be to try to stay away from them, right? To really deny them. But there is research that shows that when you actually get clear about how you're feeling and you acknowledge that may actually decrease the feeling for you. Also, I just want to say that I think at this time, getting support and being able to share how you are feeling with at least one other person in your life, whether that's a family member, a friend, maybe it is a colleague, a therapist, a coach, but having somebody that you can really just share how you're doing is so important at all times, but especially right now. Another way to increase your emotional energy is to assume positive intention, especially right now with everything that's going on with politics and I think what's happening in the world and just how people are feeling, is that we can start to look through sort of this negative lens. And it's really an important time for us to assume positive intention from other people first until they tell us otherwise, until we know otherwise. But really pay attention to whether your perspective is sort of always assuming the negative intention, and that really shifting that to assuming assuming positive intention first can feel better for you. It will feel better for you, and it will also impact the energy in terms of the way that you connect and relate with the person that you're interacting with. Another way to boost positive energy or emotional energy is engaging with others in positive ways. I think that right now we need to be really protective of who we associate with or who we give our attention and time to. Having social connection and support is a key ingredient of resilience. So it's necessary, but it also means you want to be connecting with the right people that are going to help you feel good through this time. And so thinking about how do you engage with people in positive ways, and if you're not able to, being okay letting that person go or dismissing yourself from that conversation, choosing not to engage in their negativity if it's not feeling good for you. And then turning off the inner critic. So I've got this, everybody's got this, but it's what's going on in our head that may be telling us we're not doing enough, we're not doing good enough, we're being lazy, we should be doing more. Whatever that is, that little gremlin in your brain that is taking you down, that is not going to support you at any time, but especially right now. And so really turning that inner critic off and thinking about how you can speak to yourself from a place of compassion and love. Another way is to tune out the media or the people that make you feel worse. I already talked a little bit about that, but the media part of it, I mean, for some crazy reason, and I'm finding myself, like drawn to the news, even though every time I listen to it or watch it, I don't feel better. And so I'm really being very intentional about when I have that pull of shifting to listening or watching something that feels good, that makes me laugh, or music that makes me feel good. So really thinking about tuning out what does not serve you right now and help you feel better. Which then leads to the next one, which is to turn on some uplifting music. So I am finding, my clients are finding that there is some simplicity in finding music, listening to music that just makes them feel good. So I've had clients that have decided to start every morning with sort of this power song, positivity song. I've had clients that have decided to do a dance party every morning and their kids get to pick the song. I've started with my own son when we drive to soccer, is he's got a pump it up song that gets him going. So thinking about what music helps you feel good and fuels your feelings of happiness. So the last dimension of energy is the spiritual energy. And this is not about religion. This is really about what fuels our purpose, what fuels us feeling meaning in our life. And so some of the ways to do that, which is very important right now, but may feel challenging, is to connect to a bigger sense of purpose. So thinking about right now, especially as we're going through this time and sort of that growth mindset, it's like, what is the bigger purpose here for you? You know, how can you think about this in a bigger way than just sort of the getting through the day-to-day activities and interactions? The next one is practicing gratitude, which I've already talked about as well, but that piece of it, of reminding yourself like what is really important, what you have to be grateful for, is a great way to help you feel better spiritually. Living in alignment with your core values. I will say, as a life coach, the people that I work with that are feeling the most unsatisfied, unhappy, disconnected in their life, it's always because they're living out of alignment with their core values. And so finding ways to get more in alignment with what is most important with you will help increase your spiritual energy. Embracing personal development and growth. We are always evolving. We are changing. We are growing. That is part of being a human being. And the more that we can embrace that personal development and growth as part of our life journey, oftentimes that can fuel that spiritual energy for us, even if that's reading something inspirational each day, being part of a support group that maybe talks about topics that help you grow and evolve, working with a therapist, working with a coach. There's so many different avenues that you can embrace right now to just help you evolve personally and professionally. And the last one is spreading kindness and love. So one happiness habit that has been researched is acts of kindness, that when we do acts of kindness for others, that it makes us feel better, and then it also makes the other person receiving it feel good as well. And I just think right now too, again, we can all go into our little bubble and what we need to do in our own life, but being really mindful of kind of lifting our head up and thinking about what are ways that I can be kind and spread love and connection for other people, and finding ways to do that throughout your day, even in really small ways. So the question I want to leave you with here is, what choices do you need to make to support the way that you want to feel when you think about managing your energy? So now we're going to look at managing your environment. And I think of environment as really structure. So yes, it's the physical environment, but it's also sort of the structure of your schedule, of your routines. We have different routines for, a lot of people for their weekdays versus their weekends. However, one of the things that has become very clear is that part of what people are struggling with is that a lot of the structure in their life has gone away, right? They're not commuting, they're not getting kids to and from school, they don't have evening activities. There's not even as much of a difference between the work week, the the weekdays versus the weekends. Those things that we had that sort of anchored us and told us it was time to transition between different elements of our life, for a lot of people have gone away. And so this part, especially right now, is about how can you create some additional structure, some new structure to help you manage your environment. And the first one is thinking about, for those of you that are especially maybe working from home, is creating an optimal workspace. You know, a lot of people that started working from home or their whole work life changed very dramatically in one day. And it kind of just went into that like immediate crisis mode. And I think most people thought it would be somewhat temporary, definitely not 7-8 months in. But really thinking about like now, okay, what's working, what's not working, what kind of structure can I apply, or what can I do to my physical work environment that helps me feel more positive and more productive. Having an ideal success schedule from start to end. So I really encourage people to actually sit down and write down, you know, from the moment they wake up until the moment they go to bed, what is sort of their typical flow of their day. What I'm finding when I'm working with people is that there's become an unintentional structure to their day, and it's not really looking or feeling the way that they would want it to. So it's looking at how is it currently going, and then it's taking a step back and thinking about, ideally, what would be a great success schedule for you given this current situation. And you want to think about incorporating in beginning and end of day rituals and routines that are going to help you start your day in a positive way and end your day in a positive way. Setting boundaries from things and people may not be easy right now, but I think taking a step back also and assessing, you know, what are the things and who are the people that are distracting me the most throughout my day, that are keeping me from being as productive as I need to be, and what are some strategies and boundaries I can put in place that are going to help me manage those better. So as I said, creating a start and end of the day rituals to help you shift gears. So I was talking with somebody the other day and I said, describe to me how your day goes from beginning to end. And she said, I get up an hour before my kids so that I can have some me time. And I said, what do you do during that me time? And she said, honestly, I pull out my computer and I start working. And then she said, and then my kids get up. And I said, well, what do you guys do as a family when the kids get up? And she's like, honestly, my kids go grab their computers and they jump on and they start doing schoolwork. These were like young elementary school students. So we talked about, is that serving you? Is that feeling good? And she said, no. And I feel like it's impacting the kids and it's impacting me. So she created a beginning of the day ritual for herself and for her children. And I got an email from her the next week that said 1 week of doing this new morning ritual. And she's like, I have not seen my kids happier in the last 7 months. And she's like, I have not felt so much calm and peace in the morning. So really being intentional about how you want to start your day and sort of reclaiming that time to support you with the way you want to feel. Bame thing with the end of the day. If you want to be getting better sleep, thinking about what is the end of the day ritual that is going to help you go to bed earlier and go to bed smoother and easier. And how do you want the evening to look and feel, you know, for yourself, with your family members, with the people that you live with, and being really intentional about that instead of just defaulting to what I think a lot of people are feeling like right now is, you know, well, what else do I have to do? I can just work, or not really thinking about, you know, how they're spending their time. And so they get through the day and they're not really feeling as productive or as present as they wanted to. So the last one is thinking about this idea of getting dressed in a way that increases your mood. So a benefit for many of working from home is that, you know, you can wear whatever, well, not whatever, but you know, it's much more relaxed. But there is an impact that getting dressed, that getting ready, that, you know, taking a shower has an impact on the way that we feel. And so what I'm encouraging people to do is think about, you know, how do they want to get ready for their day in a way that's going to, again, help them feel the way that they want to feel, and paying attention to that. You know, so if you're somebody that, like, no, being in my pajamas or my sweatpants all day, I can still feel positive and productive, great. But if you notice a difference from that versus when you get up and you shower and you get dressed in a certain way, or you go ahead and get your exercise clothes on so you can go have that activity and get that done. So just being mindful about how the way that you dress and how you get ready for your day impacts the way that you feel. So the last area we're going to focus on is managing your relationships. And managing relationships is challenging during the most abnormal times. And right now, it's even more challenging, and yet it's so important because social connection is extremely important when we're going through challenging times. It is one of the key ingredients of resiliency. And so I want to encourage people to think about, you know, even though you may be with some people all the time right now, and that may be challenging, but thinking about how to be intentional. And if you're somebody who lives alone, right, then you may be feeling more isolated because you're not having the opportunity to connect with people as much. And so thinking about this, again, I always am going back to the word intentional, but that is the name of the game for me. It's like being intentional about how you're going to manage your relationships so that those relationships help you feel better. They help you feel connected. They help you stay balanced during this time. And there's a number of things for you to consider. The first is to really commit to doing the best that you can. So right now is not a time that you want to leave the relationship sort of just a chance. I mean, I was having this conversation with my husband the other day, where because there's so much going on, I think what people are relying on is, I've got these relationships or these connections. And so I'm not going to really put a lot of attention on them because I've got all this other stuff that I have to worry about. However, having relationships just sitting there, not intentional, is not necessarily going to serve you or feel good. And so really thinking about, like, how can I commit to doing the best that I can regarding my relationships during this time. And that includes communicating continuously. Things are changing constantly. There's a lot up in the air. There's uncertainty. Expectations are changing. And so thinking about, how do I continue to communicate with the people around me so that we're clear on what the plan is, what the expectations are, how we're each feeling and doing. Thinking about connecting in positive ways that up your energy. And this is something where, again, it's challenging given that we're limited in how much we can socialize with who and how we do that. But one of the things that came out is when COVID first happened, people, were jumping into having like these virtual Zooms and happy hours. And what I've been hearing from people more and more is that focus of time together being around, let's say, drinking, wasn't necessarily feeling great for everybody anymore. Trying to find other ways that feel positive and increase your energy. And so that probably means you have to be a little bit creative, but really paying attention to, is the way in that I'm connecting with this person feeling positive and increasing my energy? And if not, what can I do about that? It's clarifying changes, expectations, and priorities. So again, I said this earlier, but within your family unit, within your friends, within the colleagues that you work with, things are changing, expectations are shifting, priorities are shifting. And so it's really important to keep coming back to clarifying those, over clarifying those, so that you're all on the same page. Having compassion for yourself and others. This is so critical right now. I mean, we do not know what each individual is going through for their own personal experience of this collective crisis. And I think for us to remember, I was thinking about this as I was on a call yesterday and listening to parents that are really concerned about what's going on within the school district I'm in. And for me, trying to think about, having compassion for the teachers that are trying to teach during this with their own families, and the administration that are trying to, pull off the impossible with their own, who knows what's going on in their own life. And so coming from a place of compassion for others, but then also for yourself, just being really kind and gentle, and recognizing that the more compassion and love you can have for yourself, the easier it's going to be for you to give that to other people. Having the courage to share how you are doing and feeling. Again, like, this is a time where I would say we need to lean into being open, not with everybody. We don't need to be telling everyone how we're feeling, but thinking about who do you have in your life that you can be open with how you are doing and how you are feeling. And I really want to encourage you, if you need additional support, is to find a way to get that, to ask for that help, because this is such a challenging time for so many people. Mental health is at an all-time, serious topic and concern for people, especially those who have maybe dealt with depression, anxiety before. This has even heightened it so much more. And so having that courage to share, to ask for help is going to be really, really important. And then being creative in how you communicate and connect with other people. So again, we're going to have to put on our creativity hat of how we do that, especially as thinking about going into the holidays. Talking with people, it's causing a lot of stress and anxiety, thinking about maybe being more isolated indoors. How are they going to do family get-togethers? If they don't have family around, they usually are with friends. How are they going to do that? And so being creative about how to communicate and connect is going to be really important right now. So what conversations do you need to have to improve clarity, connection, and cooperation with others? So thinking about the other areas, the three other dimensions and areas of your mindset, your energy, and your environment. As you think about changes that you may want to make in those areas or things you need to do, what conversations do you need to have with whom to get support, to get accountability, to clarify your own needs and your expectations? So I want you to just go back to that line that you made before, and I asked you the question about how do you want to feel and how do you want to show up, and what can you stop, start, or keep doing to impact this? And I just want to give you a moment to maybe jot down some additional thoughts on that, about if you look back at this point in time, which someday you will, right? And we're going to be thinking about the memories that you have, the experience that you had during this time. How is it that you want to feel? How is it that you want to show up for other people? What is the experience that you want to have? And then what are the things that you can stop, start, or keep doing to help support you? All right, so just in closing, I know that was a lot, and an hour went by super fast on my end. I don't know if it did on yours. I will check out the questions, but I just want to say, if you want more support in calming the chaos, redefining success for yourself, living what matters, some different ways that you can get support from me is you can go to my website, which is nicolataggart.com. You can download the Winning with Wellbeing Guide and workbook. It's a free resource that has a lot of this information and more in it. That has some different energy boosts that you can use, and then also a workbook that you can use to really go through some of these exercises and put it into play. You can also contact me to schedule a complimentary Calm the Chaos coaching consultation. And then also 2 tools that can be really helpful in helping you calm the chaos are the Calm the Chaos Journal, which is a daily tool that you use I use it at the end of the day. Some people use it in the morning, but to take stock on your health and happiness habits and set your intention for the next day ahead. And then also the Calm the Chaos cards, which are 65 different prompts that you can pull at times when you are feeling more stress and chaos. Some people are using them each morning as a way to set their intention. And those are available on Amazon and at different bookstores. So I just want to end, and then I'll open it up for questions with this quote that I love, which is, peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. My hope is that you can find even small ways to bring more calm into your heart, into your life, so that as things are happening around you, you can still find that center to listen to your intuition, to make choices that support you, to find positivity and peace even in the midst of so much chaos. So thank you all. Let's see, we'll see if there's questions.
Yeah, thank you, Nicola. We have one question from Sally. Are you able to read it?
From Sally, yes. Can you further explain proactively prioritizing, versus reactively responding? Yeah, so what this means is that often what I'll hear from people is that they will feel like they jump into their day be reacting to other people's demands, right? So emails that are coming in, or calls or requests, or somebody else's drama or emergency. They focus on that instead of thinking about in advance what their priorities are for that day, and then doing those things first. So it's really a mindset, and this happens a lot when people will say that the first thing they do is they check their email, let's say. And so then they're just jumping into reacting instead of being intentional about prioritizing their time. I don't know if that makes more sense. Let's see, somebody says, but that does not.
Yeah, it says to the person, it just says anonymous attendee, they're hard of hearing and needed, they were looking for closed caption, but not able to find closed captioning on here. So Nicola, if you want to share your email address with them, I think you can respond to them privately.
Okay.
And you'll be able to fill them in.
Great. Okay, so it looks like that was the only question. Did you see any other ones that I missed?
I didn't see any other ones that came through. Does anyone have any other questions? You can go ahead and pop it in the chat box. But on my end, Nicola, it always feels like, I think like everyone knows what you have to do, but being told what you have to do, it's just like, oh yes, like, thank you for for reminding me what needs to happen. Hold on, there's someone today.
Well, and I think that's the thing is, none of this is new information, right? I didn't come up with this. I'm like not the maker of this information. It's all out there, and that's the thing I want to say is, like, right now we need to find ways to keep these reminders in front of us. Yeah. So, find somebody to be accountability buddy with, seek out support, use the tools that I've provided that honestly can just give you little infusions during your day when you need it, because that's kind of what's going to keep us afloat right now. All this information is out there. We just need to be reminded to put it into practice.
Yeah. And well, I have your journal, which you can pick up at Target or your local bookstore, shop your local bookstore.
Yeah.
Keep those guys in business. I also have your deck of cards over here. I live alone. And one of my biggest thing is like having accountability, because when I'm at home, like,
nobody's around.
No one knows.
Yep. Find an accountability buddy.
Exactly. So what I think I'm going to do is with the cards, because I know like in the morning, I'm reactive in the morning. I just get up. I am coming into work, so that does give me a schedule, but I'm rushed. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick my card at night and put it on my bathroom window, on my
Great.
bathroom mirror. So in the morning, when I see it's gonna be right in my face.
Great.
That
Keep
is
it
my
right
plan.
in front of you. Tape it to your forehead if you have to.
There we go.
Well, thank you very much for having me today. And thank you for those that were able to join us. I hope it was helpful and not too much information. I don't want to add to people's chaos. I really do want to help calm.
Yeah. Well, what I love about your journal is just so simple. It's just, you're just going through.
Well, I created that for myself first many years ago when things were super chaotic for me. And I found that I just wanted a really simple process that I could do that didn't take a lot of time. It takes me, and I have mine on my bedside table. I don't do it every single night, but I do notice a difference when I haven't done it for a little while.
Yeah. I like how simple this is, and it's not scary to look at.
Hopefully not.
So thank you so much for your time. And this is going up on YouTube. So thank you. Oh wait, hold on. There's one more. I think Kat has written something.
How can you emotionally regulate when your immediate sphere of influence, home environment, does not support your processing? And will this be available? So yes, it will be available, right? You're recording this and people can watch it later?
Yes, it's actually on our Facebook. It's on Facebook right now. So let me put our link up.
And in terms of answering the question about how do you emotionally regulate when your immediate sphere of influence, home environment, does not support your processing, and that is hard, especially I think right now, with people being compressed in one environment. But what I would say is be creative and try to find some where you can go or some code word you can give your family members that basically is saying, I need a timeout, and find that space to do it, because our only way to shift our energy is by taking that pause. The better you get at doing it, the easier it is to do it even sort of in the moment. But that's not, that takes a little while to learn how to do that, because you first have to have the awareness that you're having the emotional response. And then you have to sort of, okay, I'm going to pause. And then how can I respond in a different way? So, when my kids were younger and I didn't feel like I had the space, there were two things. One is that we had kind of agreed upon code word that meant like, I need to walk away and I'll be back. And then I would physically remove myself and go into the bathroom. And then I could look in the mirror and take a few deep breaths and then come out. Now I'm able to do it a little bit quicker without having to always physically leave. But I would just say you're going to have to be creative. And if you can't physically leave the area, then it's asking the people around you to give you the space for you to process that, so that you can respond differently. And I'm happy to talk about that more. If you want to contact me, we can do a complimentary coaching consultation, or just even email me and I can give you some more information.
So Kat, I actually, so I put our Facebook channel, our Facebook page up. So it's basically, if you go to facebook.com, it's Canopy SF, CANOPY SF, and you'll be able to see the video over there. Okay, I think, and then, Nicola, you put your address over there. So yeah, thank you so much. And guess we'll say goodbye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, bye.